Hey guys, welcome to Solutions by TJ. My name is Mariama, and today I'm going to take you through a series of documents and just kind of show you all the best way to get through documents quickly, efficiently, and making sure that everything is correct within that document. I myself have done over 1,000 signings, so I kind of got it down to art, and I want to show you all some of the tricks of the trade. So first thing to remember is that you are the notary signing agent. So it's your job to make sure that you are getting the signers through the documents and it's just ensuring that they are signing, initialing, and putting in any necessary information that is required within the documents. It is not your job to go through the documents in details as far as their numbers or the terms of the loan. So we want to remember that as we're getting started. The first document that you'll see here is a Uniform Residential Loan application. This document typically will have a lot of mistakes on it, and some of the signers may look at that and say, oh my goodness, this document is incorrect, I don't want to sign it. This is the very first document that's produced when a signer says, hey, I want to go through with some type of loan, documents or some type of refinance or whatever the case it may be. So you want to reassure them that this document is the first document, again, that is produced. So it's going to have mistakes on as the loan officer or whoever is creating the documents and pulling the necessary information, gets that necessary and correct information. These things will be corrected throughout the packet in the other documents. So the very first document here, at the very top here where you see my cursor, you will have the borrower sign there. There's also a spot for a co-borrower. It is very important to look down at the bottom here to see whose name is actually on the documents. So you will have either a name here or a name there. You can have two names, but we want to go with whoever's name we actually see. So on this one, it looks like I see two signers. So both signers on this one will need to sign above. So they will sign here and sign there. The second page of the document, I look through the page and I'm looking for, again, spots where they need to initial or sign. On this document, there is nothing that needs to be initialed and signed. I will let you all know that sometimes this residential document does have a little spot at the bottom to initial here or in the center of the page to initial, but I don't see it on this one. So I skip directly to the third page here. I let them know, hey, this document, again, is just basic information. You want to remind them again when they get to the next couple of pages because they may forget that you said that and they're thinking this is a new document. And this is actually a part of that same first document. And you want to make sure you let them know that. Here, we're signing again here and dating. Then we are going to sign the co-signer here as well, co-borrower, and date as well. The next document here is the escrow document. This document here, of course, again, two spots to sign. What the details of this document says, not our business. But if they do ask a question about it, please go ahead and have them just read this little document. It's very short, so they can read it themselves. If there's still something they don't understand, you could briefly explain it. If there's more details in it that they need explained, again, they can reach out to their loan officer while at the table. The next document here is the ALTA settlement statement, one of the most important documents here. This one, I will have them take a moment and review this one. Usually they've gotten this document prior to the signing, so they're very familiar with it. The first page of the document, usually nothing to sign. Second page of the document can be the exact same thing, nothing to sign, more detailed information with their numbers. The third page of the document here is where you will see towards the bottom inside of the box an acknowledgement, and also here they will need to sign again. There's no indication of a date here, so just signatures on this document. So on this one, the signers would actually sign Barry borrower, so Barbara borrower. Please make sure that they are using signing both of their names. So if there was a middle initial in here, they would need to put that a middle initial as well. But it looks like for this document, it's only first and last name. That name can change throughout the documents. A lot of the times, the lenders in title produce the documents, and the name is not consistent throughout the document. So please make sure that they are signing how their name appears on that particular document. The next document here is a data proof sheet. There's usually nothing for us to sign on that one. That is just information for the title and lending company, and also closing instructions that don't apply to the notary or to the signer. Skip down. And that's just all information for title and lending. Where you see by here, that is not for us to sign or title there. This is for the lending and title company. So we'll skip directly to the next document. The next document is the private mortgage insurance termination disclosure. This document, again, is just another cancellation document. It just kind of tells them or gives them a little details about the process for cancellations. We'll skip that first page. Second page you go to, again, they can read through this information briefly. You can also remind them in the state of Texas that they do have 3 business days to review everything and cancel if needed. I try my hardest not to say that, but if you are having a signer that is wanting to read every line, you can always remind them of that. Again, the 2 signers are signing at the bottom here, no dates. All right, the next document is the California Private Mortgage Insurance Cancellation Document. Again, this is another cancellation document. Just again, reminding them of all their rights if they need to cancel. They are going to sign on this one and also date as well. So if you are not, I am in the state of Texas. If you all are not in the state of Texas, make sure you look up the cancellation period for your actual state. And then that way you can use that as leverage when the individual or the signer, better yet, wants to read through every line and say, hey, you still got time. You always have time to cancel in this state, however many days that your state allows for. The next document is a deed of trust. As we all know, this is the information that gets recorded with the county. This is just basic information with any real estate document that gets recorded so that we know there is an agreement between the signers and lending and title. We'll skip the first page. Usually through this document, you can skip all pages of this document and go to the second or third page from the end of this document. So we'll skip, nothing for us to do on this one. All legal terminology for documents or any deed of trust, it's all the exact same. If they've purchased anything before, it's the exact same document they've seen for any other deed of trust or any other property. All righty, we are down to the page now, the last page of that deed of trust, and this page here does require us to notarize. So on this document, again, we want to make sure that they are signing here where it says seal. Seal is just another pretty much terminology that is used for the signers to sign. So they will sign. It also says witnesses. Typically, you don't need witnesses, but you want to ask the notary company or the lender or the title, whoever you've been in contact with, whether witnesses are needed. Also know the rules for your state and know whether witnesses are needed or not. In the state of Texas, we do not always need witnesses, but we always ask whether those witnesses are necessary. I will go down to the notarization section next. It says State of California, County of, and you will put your county in. Sometimes where California is, the state is not there, so you'll have to write that in. And also after the county of, I will put in Harris County, is the county that I'm in now. And a lot of times they don't have the information there, so you'll have to write in the state and also the name of the county as well. So we'll go down to the verbiage of the notarization. On blank, before me, blank personally appeared, and a big blank line. So on the first blank, it says on, the date will go here. So today, I would say August 19th, 2020. Please make sure that you are writing out the word August, putting the number 19, and writing out 2020. Before me, which would be my name here. So your entire name, how you have it on your notary seal. So for me, it will be Mariama Berry, personally appeared, and the next blank, I will put down the actual signer's name. So I'll put Barry Barber and Barbara Barber. And that's all that will go in those 2 blanks, those 3 blanks there, okay? Then I go down to the blank line down here, and this is where we would actually sign our name as the notary. So I would sign here and put Mariama Berry, and I will put my seal right underneath or right over to the side here. Make sure your seal is not covering any words or stamped on top of anything. You'd be surprised that a lot of people stamp over words, and that is very incorrect. You can always use the side margins for a stamp, anywhere that's just open space, but never over any words, even if it's a part of the notarization. Let's go to the next page here. It says adjustable rate note. So this is pretty much just the note information. Here's basic information, the amounts here that the signers or borrower is paying back here. Number 2 would be their interest rate, and you can just show them this information. Their payment terms here shows their first payment is due on December the 1st. That's the most important on that one. Nothing to sign on this page. Second page, nothing to sign. There is a blank on the second page here, and you can have them read through this page, and if they know the information that goes in that blank, they can fill it in. If they're not aware of that information or have no idea what goes there, they can just leave it blank, proceed to the next page, and again, have them sign here in both spots. So Barry Borrower and Barbara Borrower, and that's it for that one. All right, so then we'll go down to the interest-only addendum. This is also a part of that, that note above, but it's just an addendum to it. So some type of modification that may be on this one, or some additional information that would not fit on that actual first page that has been just added to this one. All righty, we'll go down to the next page. And again, we are just making sure that we are signing on this page. It also says dated here. So I would go ahead and put the date in there. It's not required because they don't have a line there, but it's not going to hurt to shove that date in right above their signatures there. So just one little date there. All right, next document is a rider. This is also a rider to that original note, promissory note that was there. And this is just additional information that needs to be added in as well. First page, nothing to sign. Second page, again, we have the signatures here, first and last name, first and last name. Again, the word seal is just another just another form of saying sign, or print, or whatever the case it may be asking you to do. But for this case, it is actually signing here. So it's not your actual notary seal. The next document here, again, is another interest-only addendum document. And it just shows the interest information here, and that's very clear. They can read that. And they're going to probably say, why is all this repeating itself? That's very typical in documents, different departments. Sometimes the title, sometimes the lending company needs an actual original copy. So that's why that happens as well. Again, we'll sign on this one, first and last name, both borrowers. Same document here, just addendum to that note. We did this one before. We're going to sign both of those documents. Next document is the borrower's income certification. And this one is just certifying that the information they put on their loan application is actually accurate and current as of today's date, meaning the date that they are signing. So we're just trying to make sure they haven't like lost their job or something like that doesn't allow for them to make their first actual payment. So they'll sign on this one, first and last name, both borrowers. So the next document is the variable rate mortgage document. And this one just gives them basic knowledge and basic information about the program that they are on, and different variations of their loan and how it may affect that actual loan in that particular state. So they can read through this one. Also remind them again, you can always go back and read this in detail. You can also reach out to your loan officer. We're going to go ahead and sign at the bottom. Both borrowers are going to sign both of their names. And we're also going to date this, one date right there at the top, right above their names. The next document is the compliance agreement. The compliance agreement is just saying, hey, we are following all the rules and regulations and have followed all the rules and regulations and putting your documents together. So we want to make sure they sign this one as well. They're going to sign both borrowers here and date. Both of them will need to date. And remember, when they date, it is okay for them to use numbers when they date. Just please make sure that for any year, as of now, given that we are in 2020s, we want to make sure they put down 2020. If it's 2021, that's fine, but we cannot put down, for example, August 1920. It must say 2020. All right, so this compliance document, I'm going to go back up for a second. We are going to actually notarize this one as well. So the second page of the compliance document, we are notarizing. So here, State of Texas, County of Harris, on August, written out August 19th, 2020, before me, Mariama Berry. So your notary, your name would actually go there. The next blank, right before that next blank says personally appeared, you will put in the signer's name there. So that space is extremely small, which means you have to write extremely small. Both names must fit in there. So you need to either double stack it within there or write it really, really small, but it must all, again, fit in that space. I like to double stack and maybe put the first signer's name right here above and then put the other one right on the line. So for this one, because the document before had both signers, I would have to put in Barry borrower and Barbara borrower right there in the blank. I would go down to where it says signature. I would put my signature there. Again, signature according to what is on your actual stamp, commission stamp. Then I would print out my name here on the second line where it says notary, exactly how it appears on my commission stamp. And then I would seal it here at the bottom and I would stamp. The next document is the W-9. So as you can see, this first one applies to only Barry borrower. This one looks to have a little bit of the information filled in. Make sure they are filling in number 1 if it's not there. Number 3, they need to check the box that applies to them. A lot of the times it's already filled in for them. If it is filled in already, please make sure they're verifying the information. They'll skip down to number 5. Number 5 is their actual address of the address that they currently use on any W-9. Then you'll go over to the right-hand side here. They will insert their social security number. If this was a corporation or some type of business, of course, they would not mark in number 3 individual. They will mark whichever one applies to their business, how it is incorporated, or whether it's a limited liability and so forth. And they will put in the EIN here instead of a social security number. We'll scroll down. Mid-page, there is a signature and date on this one. Please make sure you don't forget that. A lot of the signers fill in all the information, and they will forget to sign it and date it. The next page is just the instruction page of the W-9. You've just helped them fill out that document, so you can skip the instruction pages. It's usually about 3 to 4 of those sometimes. So we're going to just skip right through all of those. All right, so the next document here is a W-8BEN, and this is a document that just shows your foreign status, just indicating that you're either are foreign or are not foreign. So this document, they literally have to go through and fill out what applies to them. Remember, again, on this type of document, it's just a matter of them going through every single line. But the most important thing you don't want to miss is that signature and the date. This document also tells us exactly how to sign, on how to put in your date or sign the date, unlike the W-9. So this was actually for asking for 2 numbers for the month, 2 numbers for the date, and 4 numbers for the actual year. Below that signature line, that date, it says printed name of the signer. So they'll sign there. The capacity. And this is only if they are like a member or a spouse or someone that's signing for a company or so forth. Otherwise, you don't have to put any information there. Alrighty, next document here. This is a loan package, and it's just a name affidavit of the loan package. And this was just certifying that this signer is saying, hey, I am this person, and also that you check their ID. So we want to put in the information here. State of Texas would be for me, county of Harris. Then I'm going to go straight down here, make sure their name is spelled correctly. I'm going to have them date here, and they're going to sign their name. So this one doesn't show any modifications, but sometimes on this document, you can have an entire list before this notarization section of all these different names, and they'll say, that's not my name. Well, these are the names that are technically, that have been pulled, that are technically associated with this person. So they are modifications of that person's name. And sometimes you'll get a signer who's like, that's not my name, I want to scratch it out. Reach out to the loan officer or whoever you've been speaking to or they've been speaking to, and ask to make that correction. Do not allow them to cross out on this document without that permission, but try to have them understand that these are just names that may have been incorrectly put in a doctor's office or anywhere you've been, that's just showing that it's you, and it could have just been misspelled by someone, but it is actually you, and we would like for them to go ahead and sign this document. So they dated and they signed. So the notarization at the bottom on this one is a little bit different. This one is actually a jurat versus the other ones that have all been acknowledgments. So subscribed and sworn to me before me this 19th day of, in this next blank here would be the word August. Behind the comma, you would shove in there that little space, 2020. There's a period there already for you, okay? So make sure you don't go beyond that period writing. That period is there for a reason. So again, 19th day of August, written out, 2020, and the period is there for you. You want to go ahead and sign here as your name appears on your stamp. You're going to put in your commission number, your commission expiration date here, and then you are going to sign, but you're actually going to stamp below. So expiration date here and stamp below. And I know a lot of the times we're like, our stamp already has the expiration date, so why do I have to write it in again? Just write it there again and stamp it as well at the bottom. All right, the next one is a disclosure summary of their escrow. So this one just kind of breaks down all the escrow information, and then just the balance information from the escrow account. Usually on this one, there's nothing to sign, but always make sure you're looking around for any blanks on the documents or any lines on the documents that would indicate that something needs to be put in a blank or a signature may be needed. All right, the next document here, this is a continuation of that escrow document there. All right, looks like we are down to the point here where they need to sign. So obviously there's two little blanks here that they may need to put a check mark next to one of these two. Again, if they don't know which one applies to them, have them reach out to the loan officer while you're at the table. If they are not quite sure, or you can't get the loan officer on the phone, they can always leave that blank and make sure they're signing and dating. And then anyone can go back at the title or lending company and check that box for them, or whichever one that may apply. But hopefully they do know the answer to that, and you can go ahead and get that out of the way at the table. So sign again and date. Servicing disclosure. This servicing disclosure usually lets them know that the lending or the title company do have the authority or are able to sell this loan to a different company if they like. Of course, their terms would remain the same, but just acknowledging that if the lending or title company does do that, that they are aware that they were able and had permission to actually do that. So again, we're signing and dating both signers. So this is a good example on this one to show where now there's been a misprint. So we have Barry borrower and we have Barry borrower again. So we know that Barry and Barbara have both been signing throughout this packet. So this is obviously a bit of a mistake. We don't want to just cross it out and write Barbara down there. We want to call the lender or title and ask them exactly how would you all like me to proceed and correct this document. Usually they say one single line, cross it out, write the first name only correctly. So we would write out Barbara below. We put our initials next to there, and then that signer would actually sign Barbara Borrower. So she sign her correct way. But we want to make sure that we're always asking the lender or title company. When you ask them, make sure that you get a name. You want to have a person's name and say, hey, I spoke with this person at this time, and this is the correction that she asked for me to do to this document. We want to have record of that. All right, let's go down to the next document here. This is a borrower certification. Very easy document. They can read this little statement here, just certifying that their financial status and employment and income is sufficient for at least their first payment of this loan. We again are going to sign here, the first signer and date. We're going to also ask again, this name is kind of switched up on us, whether this should be Barbara Barr, and if it is, we're going to do the correction according to how we are asked to do it and date. Occupancy status. This one is just a document. They'll choose which one actually applies to them, whether they occupy the actual home, whether it's a secondary home, or whether they will not occupy the property. Maybe it's a rental or something of that sort. We want to make sure that they are choosing an option here. This is usually checked for us, but if it's not, we're going to have them check that spot, and we are going to put down the borrower's signature here and date. We see on this one, there's only a spot for one borrower, but we have two names here at the top. So we want to make sure that both signers are actually signing this one. And usually you can have them sign one above, one below on the line and date here. Our notarization, state of Texas, county of Harris, subscribed and sworn to, it's supposed to say sworn to me, before me, this 19th day of August written out here. We want to put 2020 here, and then we want to put our period, okay? We're going to sign our name here. We're going to print our name right here next to where it says typed or printed name, right below the line. And we're going to put in our expiration here as well. And then we're going to stamp here in the open space at the bottom. Again, not covering any words. Flood insurance certification. I will tell you, this one really trips a lot of people up a lot of the times. And they're like, am I in a flood zone? This document is not saying whether you are or are not in a flood zone. It's just saying that anytime that it's determined that you are in a federal emergency flood zone, that you must obtain flood insurance. And the lending and title company usually let you know if you are in that zone. And if any time you are rezoned into a flood zone, they will require you to get flood insurance. We will skip the buy and title that does not apply to us. We'll go down to the signature line and date. Looks like they have Barbara's name back in here corrected. We're going to have Barbara sign first and last name again and date. Affidavit of disbursement and first lien letter. Again, very short statement. They can read over that one. There is nothing for us to put on this one or for us to sign or date. This is literally usually for the lending and title company and their documents and them to sign. So we can skip right over that one. Quality control release. This is just letting you know, or letting the borrowers know, hey, we may use your documents within our office for quality control, for us to ensure that we are completing documents and that our individuals who work with your loan are completing these documents correctly. So again, we're going to sign here, sign again for the second one, second signer or borrower, and we are going to put in our actual social on this one. Both signers need to put in their individual socials. So a right to receive a copy of the appraisal is next. Usually they receive this. If they haven't received it, they can reach out to the loan officer within 90 days. They can receive that copy of the appraisal or request an actual copy. And usually they ask you to send the request in writing. And this one, again, we are signing and dating. Very simple, signing and dating. The next document here that we have is the mailing address certification. And this document is just certifying this is their address. If they have any additional correspondent address that they want to use as far as where things should be sent, they can add that information in. Also here at the top, any information that may need to be added in here about the address, they can add in there. We again are signing and dating this one. Next one is just a notice to the signers, just a monthly escrow payment subject document, and it just tells them a little bit about how it may increase over a 12 to 24 month basis, but just have them read through that one. Usually very self-explanatory once they read through it. It also protects them through a particular act that protects them from the interest rate going up and going down, especially if it's fixed. So we want to sign on this one and date as well. Notice of right to cancel. This one can become very difficult for individuals. So the date of transaction, which will be the date that you're actually signing, would go in that first blank there. Then we want to skip down. This box here, make sure they are not signing inside this box. This will actually cancel the document. You want them to sign below that. You will be surprised how many signers actually sign inside the box, even after you give them instructions not to. So you want to make sure you look at this document as they are signing. We want to sign and date here. This one normally also gives them their date in which they have to cancel. Usually it's a 3-day right to cancel. I know that it is in the state of Texas. Please make sure that you look at your state rules if you're not aware of what the cancellation policy is in your state. First payment letter, this one gives very basic information here about the first payment. It shows the principal. It shows all their escrows and insurances, things that are within that monthly payment. And at the bottom here, it'll show the full monthly amount there. They get confused sometimes when they see this lower amount on the principal and just the interest, and they're like, oh, that's all I owe? No, it's actually the full monthly payment down at the bottom. It also gives you the breakdown of interest rate, the breakdown of the loan amount, and then it usually will have their first payment date and when it's due within this document as well. If it doesn't have it there, there's another document that indicates that as well. So we'll sign here and date. Again, notice of an assignment, sale, or transfer of the servicing right. This is again just a document saying, hey, the lending and title company have the right to sell this loan to someone else. Your terms will not change, but it is highly possible that it will be transferred or assigned to a different lender. On this one, we are going to sign again and date. Tax information sheet. Oh, this one is so fun. So this one usually has everything filled in for them already. And usually we don't have to do anything on this one because it's really the closing agent who does that, which is not actually us as the notary. But you may want to get permission on this one or actually find out whether this one needs to be completed. Sometimes the signers do know a bit of this information, so they like to fill it in, but it is not required. Usually that's a lending and title and closing agent who get that done. The borrower certification authorization is next. This one's just certifying that you are aware that you're working with this funding group or this lender, and also just release of information. So for example, authorizing the lending group on this document, that's their name there, the lending group, authorizing them and giving them permission to have put your social and personal information on these documents. Again, at the bottom, we are going to sign both names and social security number. Make sure you're paying attention. This is social and not the dates. Lender Financial Services Corp draft authorization. So this next document is usually a document they'll go ahead and fill in some information here. And this is just pretty much banking information that may be needed as far as them drafting monthly payments out of your account. And then also sometimes there are funds that are due back to you and you want to make sure they have this information on file. So again, fill in all the information at the top, very self-explanatory. And down at the bottom, we're going to sign again and date. All right, so the next document is the privacy choice for consumers document. This one is just letting you know that, hey, your information is kept confidential within our companies that are working only on this loan. We don't share your information with outside companies. But then there's also boxes here that they'll need to read over, and they'll choose one of these boxes. If neither one of those apply to them, then again, there's nothing for them to check, and they'll go down to the bottom here and they'll sign. This one just has one borrower's name, so you want to make sure that the other signer does not need to actually sign this document. Again, this is a question for the lending and title. Do both signers need to sign this one, or just Mr. Barry Barr? And if it's just Mr. Barry Barr, his name is already there. If it's both, you'll put a slash here and you'll actually print the other signer's name there. And then we'll put in the policy number or the account number. If they don't know it, they can leave that blank and they'll sign. If one person is only being put on this one, then just one signature. If you are to put both there, make sure they both sign the document as well. Next page is blank. Whenever you have a blank page, make sure you don't take the blank pages out. You'll be surprised as to those pages are necessary and that as to why that page is there. And those are necessary pages that we are always asked to leave within the packet. Alrighty, and that is actually the end of that packet. That was a full packet. Hopefully that helps you all out. Just very important to make sure that you are paying attention to details. The details of the package, meaning look for blank spaces. Look for consistency in the name. Look for when the name may change and that the signer is actually signing their name according to what is on that particular paper and not what they may have signed on the document before. Making sure that we are actually signing first and last name, or if it's a first name, last name, maiden name, just however it's asking for us to sign, that we are signing that. Filling in the blank, anything that we can help fill in those blanks. When we are not sure, don't guess. Reach out to lending or title. Your signer, they usually have someone they've been dealing with, their loan officer, that can give them a quick, easy answer. That's usually the easiest way to go. And they can call them right then and get that information in there for you. So good luck with everything. This should really help out. And reach out to TJ if you have any more questions. Thanks, guys.